We need just 2 more minutes for everyone to come, so please be patient. Hello everyone, welcome. Thank you for coming here today. My name is Sylvia, I'm front-end engineer at OLX in real estate, and together with Asha and Tomek, we run a front-end guild in real estate. This is a community consisting of around 30 front-end developers, and for months already we observe great momentum there, meaning that we are active, engaged, willing to share knowledge. So at some point we decided that we are ready to share our experience with outside world, and based on that we are here today. So welcome on the event that was prepared fully by front-end developers to other front-end developers. We will have today our internal speakers, even our quiz crew that prepared for you some fun. Basically, when we started to prepare our masterclass, we started to think, what best do we have at OLX? And I hope you will find answer to this question in our agenda. So yes, we hope you will have great portion of inspiration today. Don't hesitate to ask questions. You can use our Slido, raise your hand, or approach us during networking. And buckle up and let's get started. I want to invite here Oleg Gałgański, who will run first part of our day to you. Big welcome to Oleg.
So, as a warm-up, we'll start with a very simple and short quiz. Only 5 simple questions. Spoiler alert, very simple. But speed matters, and there's a special prize for the winner. One of those. So please use your smartphone to scan the QR code, and once everyone is ready, we'll start. Can we switch the screen so that we can see the number of attendees? This one. I guess we can start. Oh, not yet. Okay, the number is not growing, so. Oh. I forgot about people that can join online because there's a Zoom meeting. Maybe. Are we ready? I think so. So yeah, Mariusz, please go ahead. Based on past experiences from our company. The last one is good, but not correct this time, unfortunately. Classic frontend problem. And who's the winner? Philip. Okay. The quiz was so simple that backend engineer won this quiz because I know Philip. He's not a front-end engineer. He's backend. So, but the next quiz won't be so easy. So I hope that front-end engineer will win the next quiz. So Philip, there's a prize for you. So could you go to the stage? And there's a book and a puppet. So, congrats.
Hello guys, so my name is Asha and I have the pleasure of kicking off today's first presentation. So with AI Boom we've heard so much about it, but today will be about practice, and Carol will show us how to combine Figma and React using MCP servers and create our components within minutes. Remember that you can use the slide also to ask questions to Carol's presentation. And give a warm welcome to Carol.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Yes. Yes. Okay. Let me share my screen first. Yes, I forgot about that. Can you see? Yes. Let's go to. So welcome on my presentation about MCP servers and AI agents and how we can use them in front-end work. I'm Karol. I work as senior front-end developer in OLX Real Estate. Most of you know it like Autodom, but we also have products in other countries. I work in agent monetization team. At day, at night, I'm big geek. Card games and tabletop role-playing games are my thing. So if you want to talk about it, we can hook up after the presentation. We will talk today about what MCP servers are, how the MCP server ecosystem looks like, what use cases we have in OLX, quickly go through like creating MCP servers, and we will have live coding. But because the presentation is short, we will have like live coding in few parts. So I have this design that our designer Natalia created for me, and I can show you first the design. So this is like this simple clone of, let's say, real estate page. You could think that maybe it's Autodom. It's really simple. The only thing currently like working here is, oh my God, I have design here. So I have this page locally, run locally. Only thing that works currently is sorting, and thing that we want to implement is filters. So we have in design, we have this modal that we want to implement. We want to implement the working button. So I also created a Jira task with user stories and acceptance criteria that we will use, and link to whole design and the model that we want to implement. Everything how it should work is described in this task. And then in cursor, I have already like set it up. This is simple Next.js project. It's run locally, and we will start with like plan mode. We are telling our agent to like go to Jira, check the task with MCP Jira Atlassian MCP server that is like already enabled, and he will also be able to see the Figma designs and use Figma desktop MCP server to check the design. So we will start the plan and we will go back to slides, so we save some time. And he starts working, and we can go back to presentation, slides. Yes. So what is MCP? This is like basically this standard, new open standard protocol for servers that helps communicate our AI agents with outside tools. Yes, so they tell about it that it's like USB for AI, so you can use it to like easily plug in stuff into your agents. It's universal protocol, so it like have one standard for all of the servers. It helps with like secure data access and give access to data to your prompts. So you can use it to have real data when you work with agents. So let's say Cursor or any other like AI-powered editor communicate with MCP servers, send structured request to it. The MCP server then handle that request and communicate with outside tools like Figma or Jira or like GitLab, any tool that like you can imagine. If it have like its API, it can connect with MCP server. The tool then returns the data, MCP server formats the data and sends back the data to your agent to be used with. So it's really helpful because thanks to that you can have like access to real data, real tools that can be used via AI agents. AI tools with MCP support currently, there are like many of them. We will be using Cursor, and we are like using Cursor in OLX every day. It's like really easy configured. You just need to like configure it in via JSON, but it's also available for Copilot, Cloud Desktop, OpenCode, and other tools available on the market. There is like this big ecosystem of MCP servers that are like basically available to you. You can go to like GitHub page and install those MCP server in your editor to connect to Jira, to Figma, to like Playwright, even to Slack, and create like your own flows that you can use every day in everyday job that you do with agents, basically. This is how MCP setup looks like in Cursor. This is quite easy, simple JSON file, but you can also install them via Cursor have its own page with MCP server. You can go there, you can like one-click it and it will be installed in your editor. Other tools have also like similar solutions, so it's really quite easy. Sometimes you need to restart the editor or the tool to MCP server to be visible. Okay, let's check what's going on in the editor. So as you can see, we just sent a link to Jira. What he did is like go to Jira, get the task. He read the you can see the designs in editor. He read the designs. He checked the whole page and create plan. So we have this like plan that agent will use now for building the functionality. We have to-do list. So we just need to click build and we can go back to doing other stuff, like going for coffee or whatever you want. Yeah, so let's go back to the slides. Building, yeah, that's it. How we use MCP in OLX on frontend, at least in real estate currently. Besides the flow that you see today, that we as frontend used to like quicker work and to like develop features easier. We also have this flow for like updating our component library, where we scan our repository for deprecated components, and with the use of Jira MCP server, we automatically create Jira tasks for teams to update the components that will be like deprecated in a few months. So thanks to that, we don't need to do it by hand every time that something is deprecated. And this last Friday, we had this huge hackathon in OLX that almost every team, tried to build some MCP servers. So this is really like something that OLX is keen to work with and develop. We will see how it goes, because I even read on Twitter like a few days ago that MCP servers are already dying. So you never know with the front-end technologies how it will go. Some companies didn't even start work with it, and some people say that it's already over for MCP. But we will see. You never know, especially with AI, it's changed really quickly. So yeah, how you can create servers? Basically, there are like libraries for a very known language that you know. Of course, TypeScript, JavaScript, Go, Java. It's really just for you to find the library for language that you use, and creating them also isn't that complicated. It's like, of course, depend on language, but it's really structured, and because it's like open format, let's say, for MCP servers, so it's like really quite good described on the MCP page how you can create it. They have like nice tutorials, so you should try it. Each MCP servers can have like 3 main components. Tools, this is like the main thing, and most MCP servers have like mostly those tools. This is for like create stuff, search documentation, and so on. You can also have resources, like for finding like files, database records, or prompts. You can also define like special prompts for your MCP server that will be like predefined as templates, and they can be like used by the AI agent. Let's say code review, yes, you could have like a nice prompt for like doing code review that is like already defined, and the user don't need to create them by hand. But of course, it's not perfect. MCP like won't fix every problem that LLM has. Like AI can still like hallucinate, make mistakes. The connection with servers can be slow. Sometimes like I have these cases in my like private project that some servers are like really, sometimes they work, sometimes they not. You need to restart the whole thing a few times. Something that I had a problem with like Roblox MCP server. If you want to create a Roblox game, there is like Roblox MCP server. So you can even tell them like, it's really nice. You have also, of course, problem with like 3D and positioning thing, but you can like do many things with it. There is still like setup problem with like more complicated project, AUF, how users can log in, secrets. So it's still not perfect. The protocol is evolving. Let's hope it won't disappear that fast, because most of us like just started to be using it, and it would be really strange if it like won't be here in few months. But yeah, we still need to be really cautious when we work with them. And there is like also this new thing that like was announced a few weeks ago by Google and Microsoft. It's called like WebMCP. And it's even more like targeting front-end development. because now web MCP, this is like backend, more a backend thing. Yes, this is servers. With web MCP, you will have a tool for connecting with agents directly to web apps. You can use you will be able to use special elements in HTML to enable agents to communicate and modify and work with web pages, web apps. So for front-end developers, it can be really interesting where it goes. You can, I think there is like this trial right now in Chrome where you can like try it and play with it. To be honest, I didn't have yet the occasion to try it, but it's really interesting. It's like 2 weeks old, so. Okay, let's check what happened with the live coding part. Still working, but I think it's finishing. So that's, you see, I modified the presentation because like we don't have that much time. But maybe we can already check the page if still working. How much time do we have? 5 minutes. So maybe we will start Q&A if there are like, or it's like 5 minutes.
Presentation and later.
Okay, so let's maybe still working. Let's go back to presentation. I can show you how you can set up in the MCP in Cursor. It's like in Cursor setting you have this page when you can see all the MCP server. If you click, you have this whole JSON file. It's really easy. You just add stuff here, or I do it by this cursor page that I talk about it. So it's really easy. Still working. Oh, we have something. So we have like we have the result. I can show you how like it was working before, so the sorting works. Now we have also filtering. You can see that it implemented all the elements. We can like, so that's it. It works. Quite easy. Of course, the code isn't perfect, and it won't be perfect. The whole project that I used for this presentation was also created by AI. I didn't like write one line of code for it. I can even tell that most of the presentation was also created by AI of slides. That was the social experiment that we wanted to do. Of course, I review it and told agent what to do and how I want to look like. But yeah, the possibilities are huge. From my experience, the code quality in this workflow, it depends how you have configured your AI agent in general. So if you have like good files with like in Cursor, this is like agent files or cloud files in Cloud Code, and also like defined skills. This is like new thing in AI agents. And if you have that, the code quality will be as good as possible, and it really can make your work easier and faster. Of course, this was like just simple static page, so there wasn't any backend. But if you have like type system in project, it also make it easier. So let's go back to the presentation so we can finish it. Cake takeaways. So MCP is like this universal connector between AI and tools that you are using. It can really like boost your productivity and make the like time from design to code really really shorter. It's easy to set up, so you should really try it. It's like few clicks away for you to try. But you still need to remember about like limits of AI agent in general, and still be like aware of everything that you are doing. Review the code that agent is creating and work with it. But it really can make your life easier. So we can see how, yeah, I can like keep it all. Let's one more time check our beautiful project. And basically, yes, I didn't do anything. I just put like Jira ticket in agent, and I have like full working solution. Maybe I will lose my job because of that in some time. I don't know. The AI thing is changing so fast that it's like really hard to predict what will happen. I think we can go to Q&A. It was quite fast. I see one question. How are you tracking token consumption? So I can tell how I did it. When I was like creating presentation, I just eat my tokens half the month that we have in OLX, and I ask my bosses to like higher my limit. That was my answer. But yeah, you can like in tools like Cursor, you can select modals. You don't always need to use like Opus 4.6. It's best for coding, but for many other use cases, you can use like other models that are like cheaper. But yeah, to be honest, I'm not sure how this will like all work in the future. How those companies want to make money, and how it will like. Maybe it will end up that it's like cheaper to have like people writing code because like energy is going higher even now when we talk, and what happens in like Middle East. So yeah, you need to be aware of that and try to use like cheaper models for some simple tasks. So that's my answer. Could you tell a bit more? No, that's like I didn't read the question. I don't know what happened, like the question is disappearing. Are you a real speaker or AA agent? I'm AA agent, that's like, yeah. Is it for free? No, it's not free. You need to pay for it. I use Cloud Code in my for my private project, and I pay like $100 per month for that. So like it's not cheap. You sorry for that, but you cannot use it for free. At least I don't know. Maybe there are some trials for Cursor. You would need to check it, but yeah, unfortunately it costs. So let's say you got existing component library. How will you tell the MCP server to use? So this is like it all. Of course, that was simple project. Yes. So as I said before, writing prompts, it's like art. For us, like I'm more often right now using Polish language for write prompts because it's more descriptive, and it's easier to, for me at least, to be descriptive in Polish than in English, and agent can like understand it and then work in English anyway, so that's not a problem. So like the prompts, you can describe it, you can like tell what you want, what he should use. You can tell him like, check our code base, right? New code in styles that our code base is using, or you can have those agent files predefined that will tell it without you needing to write it every time in the prompts. Yes, so that's how you can do it. Next question. So this is like we have this special. Maybe we need to go back. Our component library have types system, and when some component is deprecated, we have like it is like described in code that it will be deprecated in, let's say, half a year. So then we have special script that's nothing like AI. That we use this script. It's like we use agent to run this script to find those annotation in types. And then we use MCP server to create Atlassian MCP server to create Jira task based on those findings. So if the script finds deprecated components, agent will know that and will use the Atlassian MCP server with some predefined like stuff to create the Jira tasks. So it make our life much easier, because before we had to like check it by hand. And what should we worry when writing the Jira task that will be read by? What should we worry? So like basically this, like I don't know if I got that nice Jira task in the last like 5 years of my job. This is like almost never happened. So of course, if you would get like user stories, everything described nicely, that would be nice. But you can, in your team, you can work on that, especially if like in your company, there is like this big movement for using those tools, and that we will work faster with that. It should be like all people responsibility to like make those Jira tasks better, make them great again. Is it for free? That was already answered. Does it always use screenshot? It's under organization. I don't understand. So basically, it shows the screenshot, but with MCP server, it have access to the full design in Figma, and it have also access to like the whole metadata of the design. So all the styles that are defined there, it not work in a way that he makes screenshot or try to copy screenshot. You have like it can access like the whole stuff that are like in Figma, so CSS, everything. Yeah. So yeah. So
okay, thank you, Karol, very much. Unfortunately, we have a limited time, but don't worry. After the last presentation, we have also time. So
if you have later any questions,
yeah.
I will be here. So
Yeah, feel free to find our
Thank you.
ask about anything. So now I have the pleasure to introduce today's second presentation prepared by Tomek Jakut, also known in the front-end community as Commandeer. So without further ado, let's deep dive into CSS world and explore new features, new capabilities we can use to make our life easier.
Okay, so hi, I'm Commandeer, as you've already heard. So let's dive already into CSS. And as we are talking about CSS, I've prepared this beautiful presentation for you. As you can see, we have a heading, some simple text, some super simple component with inverted colors, some card component. Let me refresh that, yep. And now we see that beautiful image there, and yep, some art right there. And of course that big moon, of course, yes. And let me, if we, well, it should also animate but I see that I should change my system settings. So, yep, and it should start animating if we, yep, and it's rotating, and it's also the great CSS feature we are going to talk about today. So let's stop the animation for now and let's dive into the code. So let's start with the HTML. So we have that heading. Maybe I make it. Is it big enough? Yep. Okay. So we have that nice heading with a special ID, then that simple paragraph with some simple text. Sun, moon, div needs that animated moon or sun, as we see in a minute. Then inverted, that one with inverted colors, card, so web component to mark up our component, and that add as aside with add web component, and that magic code we talk in bonus section. So as we can see, we have that main CSS file linked, so let's jump to it. And what's happening there? So I'm using import rules to import several CSS files. Fortunately, it's not talk about performance, so let's skip that part. So we are importing some parts of our site, CSS, reset, base, etc. And we are importing them into something called layers. And as you can see, we have several layers: reset, base, mobile, desktop, and components. And as we can see, we can import to one layer different things. So in case of components, we have 3 components imported from card legacy, and sun, moon. And we also are adding another component to this layer by some inline methods, so the add rule layer to add something to components. And as you can probably guess, it means that all these things are added to the same layer. Nothing is overwriting anything, so we can just add new things to layers how we want. And we have also some magic conditions here, so that it's something like, I think, import attributes from JS. So like in JS, you can import JSON with the with type JSON. So we can import styles in CSS only if it's displayed at screen, and that screen has width lower than 30 rems. And that's also the new syntax for media queries, so we don't need to do something like that. Now we can simply use operators. So from this code we see that we have more layer mobile if the width is less than 30 rem, and desktop layer if the width of the screen is more than 30 rems. And we have also this weird thing. So if we can look in components cards, that has some weird styles, but let's also see card legacy, and it's have just one rule, color red for the card web component. And if we look here, that's the card web component, and it visibly doesn't have a red color, and that's because of this condition. So the card legacy styles are loaded only if the browser does not support the display flex rule, and it's done by the supports add rule and with the negation. And if we support display flex, then we load these weird styles. And we also are declaring our layers, so that is layer declaration, these imports are also declaring our layers, but we also have definition of the order of the layers. So by default we have reset, base, mobile and components. So the reset is the most basic layer, and then base is on the top of that, mobile and components. And if we have the screen wider than 30 rems, then wider or equal 30 rems, then we swap this mobile layer with desktop one. And if we look at these files, so on desktop we should have 35 rems width. By the way, this is also something new in CSS, so-called logical properties. Instead of width height, we have inline size and block size. And it's in pair with what we have in Flex or Grid, where we have starts, ends, and also inline and block axis. So in new CSS, we also have inline size and block size. And in most cases, inline size is our width, and block size is our height. Unless you, of course, use something like vertical text writing direction to write an example from top, where we write top to bottom. So just imagine that we have rotated everything, so then inline size would be what we call height, etc. And if we see that we on desktop we want grid, and grid is have one row that should take all free space and have two columns, 70 and 30%. And if we see here, then yep, we have two columns. But on mobile we want the very same body to have one column and two rows. And if we swap for mobile view, then yep, we have one column and two rows. So as we can see, we can swap layers, etc. But also, let's see in the reset layer, the most basic one. So we have, of course, box sizing, some margins, and someone put that weird rule for special, so that our heading should have 50 rems of font size. But as you can see, it clearly doesn't have it. Why? Because if we see in the base layer, we have that rule here, H1 font size 2 rem. And as we all know about selector specificity, it's win everything, it's always wins, but not in this case, because layers add another layer to the cascade, and everything that is in the upper layer overrides styles that are in lower layers, even if the specificity is lower. So if we have in reset ID, we can still override it in a higher level with a simple H1, as long as the selector matches, styles are overwritten. And let's see some other styles in this base layer if we already looking at it. So we have CSS variables, or custom properties as they are named. So properties with an arbitrary value given by us. We have 3 custom properties, and we are nesting. That's also a new feature. Nesting some new things here. So media, that's user preference query, as I like them to name. If the user prefers dark color scheme, then we just invert these colors. And we also have this fancy thing for support. So if the browser supports font family system UI declaration, then we give that value to the font family variable, and we just use this in the root. Also, I've added this thing, scroll bar gutter stable. Well, it's not visible here, but scroll bar gutter reserve this space here for the scroll bar, so there is no that screen shaking when, example, something adds and the scroll bar is disappearing and appearing again. Modals are the best example here, so most often if the model is shown up, then the body gets overflow hidden to just delete the scroll bar, and then the shaking happens because the scroll bar disappears and then appears again, and with scroll bar gutter stable, that space is always reserved. Yep, and if we see on the nesting rules, we don't need to repeat a selector here because it's implied, because it's nested in the root. So we talked about reset, we talked about base, talked about mobile and desktop layers. So let's jump into the sun moon component now. And yeah, just some font size for mobile and desktop. And we are animating our before. That ampersand is here to inform the browser that this before is for the sun moon itself, because without this ampersand it would be treated as the child before. So we add the emoji, and if we have dark theme, then the sun is as you see, and we are also having media prefers reduce motion. If the user allow animations, then we animate that sun or moon, and we use animation rotate. As you can see, we simply change the value of the rotation custom property. And by the way, this is also a newish feature, so instead of transport rotate, we could use rotate, or the transform also has their own dedicated properties. They behave somehow different from transform because their order is specified in the specification, and in transform we can make the order ourselves. That's the only difference. And as you can see, we can animate the rotation variable, just changing in value, and it's all thanks to static typing in CSS. So we are declaring that we have rotation property value, rotation custom property. It's inherited, so just like most of CSS properties is inherited, and we give it initial value of 0 degrees. So if we then take it to these keyframes, then we see that rotation should change from 0 to 360. And we also need to define the syntax of it, and in that case it's syntax angle, so the browser knew its degrees. And thanks to that, we can just animate most of custom properties just by giving them types. And let's then go to card one, because it also has one more feature that could be used. Well, two features, to be honest. So there is also something like container queries that just back to dark. As you can see, I've made this component rotate, resizable. So if it's small enough, then the image jump to the top, and it's just one column, and we go wider, it's jump back to 2 columns, and it's thanks to this. So if we have a div that has a card component inside it, then we make it a container. And it's a container we tell the browser that this container is container for the width or the inline size. And in that very container, the card should be displayed flex and should have 1 column. unless its container is wider than 20 rems, then in that case we just make it 2 columns. And if you see here, then yep, we have div, we have card inside, and that works. But we also has one more feature. Ads are these very weird things on pages that we often want isolated from other. So there is one another thing that we could isolate styles for them, scope style. So as you can see, we have that add component, we have then style and scope, and we can see that we change styles for p element. They should be centered and uppercase, and obviously nothing else on the page is uppercase and centered, in only things in this add. And it's thanks to this scope add rule. That rule says limit styles to the very element I am in. So only piece in add will be uppercased. And we also have that magic pseudo class scope that applies to the scoped element itself, so in our case AD. But there is also one more way to make scoped styles, and we will jump to base thing. Then we have these weird styles. It's so-called donut scope, and basically we say that we want to limit these styles to the main element, but only to the card. If we have main, so we have scope styles to here, but we want to stop them on the card. So everything here will have these styles applied, but everything here won't. And we will see, we just add text shadow to our piece. And if I'm not sure if it's really visible, but this text is slightly bolder than this one. I hope it's somehow visible, and I think that is everything. Yep.
Okay, so we can now jump into the QA with Tomek. So let's start with the first question. Are you using tabs for indentation? If yes, what's wrong with you?
Well, tabs are just more accessible because you can just configure how wide is the tab, and the spaces aren't configurable. So yeah, that's the main reason.
Okay, next one. What's your migration policy? How do you decide which components should be refactored to the new CSS syntax, since it would probably work well? It had probably worked well.
My migration policy is that I write CSS mostly for my personal site, so as I want it in new CSS syntax, then yeah, it's in the new CSS syntax. But more seriously, if you have a working project and you need some all the browsers also supported, then yeah, that's probably how you should think about it. So, example, if you need to support IE11, sorry for you, then yeah, you probably wouldn't want to use new CSS syntax. But if you have some spare time and you are refactoring CSS, then why not?
Okay, thank you. What's the overall experience of new CSS syntax and JS in example given transitioning on state change?
I'm not sure if I understand this question, but I can.
Yeah, should the also clarify the question maybe for Tomek? Nobody wants to admit now.
So I could answer the first part of the question. What's the overall experience of the new CSS syntax? It's great.
Thank you very much. What about Internet Explorer support?
Well, I'm not sure if anyone is still supporting it, but if you are, then, well, you won't be using any new CSS anytime soon.
Okay, thank you. Will the project be available on GitHub to look at after the lecture?
Yes, I'll put it there.
And next one, are there any techniques used to make sure we can use these features today? Polyfills, post CSS.
I believe PostCSS has some plugins for it, but I didn't test them. I'm just assuming that most of the things that I shown here should work in all browsers, except probably Safari.
Okay. Does styling parent based on its children properties make real scenario sense? Div has card. It's prone to conflicts, isn't it?
Yes, it's prone to conflicts, and yes, I probably just use it for the presentation sake. But in the case of real containers, then yes, that should be some more generic selector, I believe.
Next one, what's the support like for the features shown?
As I said, most of the features should work in all browsers. Maybe in Safari something could not work. Probably the bonus one that I forgot about is not working in the Safari, but it's not working correctly in all other browsers, so yeah.
Okay. What about efficiency of styling pages in such architecture?
I'm not sure because I don't think anyone did it yet. I mean, most of these features are demo only now because they are that new or new enough to not get any best practices around them. So we probably need to wait for a bigger architecture to come up with something.
Are you using any CSS preprocessors, SASLess, or just the new syntax?
Depends on the projects, but thanks to nesting, less and less.
Okay. Are those new features already in use, or is it still experimental?
Probably nothing from this presentation was really experimental. Most of them are already in the baseline, so they are ready to use, but as I said, I don't think already in use. That's just some funny situation with them, I think.
Okay, the last question from Slido. What was the secret bonus feature?
So if we have 1 minute, I can show it, maybe. If I can share it once more. The secret feature was native CSS modules. So as you can see, you can now import styles from CSS files with the import attribute with type CSS, and then it's CSS style sheet object, and we can just add it to adopted style sheets arrive in the document, and they should be applied. But there is one gotcha here. If we switch the styles and refresh, then well, it's broken. And if we see in the console, let's. So there is that error message, import rules are not allowed here, and there is this super lengthy discussion on GitHub about why import rules are not allowed in the CSS modules now, because TLDR, they don't know how they should work. And yeah, so we have native CSS modules, and they even work in Firefox. also, but they are incomplete for now, and that's the bonus feature.
Okay, I think there was one more question from Slido. Okay, so are there any questions also from the room?
For support, I just wanted to chime in on the support in browsers. There is actually something called the Web Baseline, which is managed by, I think, among other companies, Mozilla. They have 3 levels of support: widely available, newly available, and limited availability. It all depends on whether all of these features get a ranking from them, and it just it's sort of like the caniuse.com score, except it's more so focused on the sort of way we use browsers now, where they are constantly updated. So newly available features graduate into widely available after they've been on the so-called market for some amount of time. That's it, basically.
Yes.
Okay, and we have here 2 more. Is there a way to inspect and debug layer rules in CSS using browser DevTools?
I believe there is something, so let's switch back to normal styles. And if we check anything, we should... yep. So if we check styles, then we got layers here. So you can see each style from each layer.
Okay, and we can come back to Slido for last question. How does this architecture scale across teams?
As I said, that's a hard question because, well, it's not an architecture yet, so I don't know.
Okay, thank you very much, Tomek. Thank you for the presentation, all the answers. So now we'll start a 15-minute break, but before we go, can the folks working at OLX raise their hands, please? So the rest, if you during the break want to chat with them or ask any questions, these are those people. And remember to be here in 15 minutes, which is 7:25. And then we start a wonderful quiz with wonderful prizes, so we don't want to miss it. So we are waiting for you here. Yes, you can go.
we're gonna have another quiz now. This one is gonna be a bit harder. There's gonna be more questions, but there are also more prizes. So please join on Slido. Okay, so last time we peaked at 62. They're now 66. Let's see how far we can get. Okay, it's more than last time, so I think we can start now, the quiz. Let's go. Okay, what is the main purpose of the model context protocol in developers' workflows? Okay, good. You saw a presentation about that, so that's nice that you listened. Okay, what will the following JavaScript code output? And the answer is, of course, object. Okay, next question. What problem does the layer primarily help solve in modern CSS? You're going to see again if you listened. And that's correct. Very nice. Okay, another code question. What will the following code output in the console? Very nice. What is the main benefit of using feature flags in a multi-brand, multi-country setup? Okay, very nice. Next question. Oh yeah, so right now we get to see the leaderboard after the fifth one. There's 5 more questions left. We'll see how this changes with the other questions. Okay, what is the difference between throttling, debouncing, throttling and debouncing in JavaScript? Okay, you know the drill. very nice. Okay, what is the difference between event stop propagation and prevent default in JavaScript? Very good. Good luck with that one. What happened? Okay, which CSS feature allows styles to automatically respect user preferences such as reduced motion or dark mode? Great, you were listening all. Okay, and that was the last question. And we have a little surprise because actually here you can see the 5 top people from the board. All of those people will get a reward. But we're actually giving a prize to the 10 first people in the leaderboard. So if we can see now the full leaderboard. Okay. Okay, if you see on your app like which place you are, and if you see that you're in from 10 to first, then you can, after the presentations, you can go to Lisa back there, and you can get your prize there. Okay, so congrats to everyone. Thank you, and I think we can go over to the next.
Okay, thank you, Filip. I want to also say a big thank you to our quiz crew. Oleg Gałgański, Filip Ławniczak, Liza Czujko, and Mariusz Krok. Those are the people who prepared that fun part for you, so please, big noise for them. Yes, also if we have winners on the top 10 that are not here, that joined remotely, please contact Julia and Kasia on our on their LinkedIn. Yes, so thank you for it. And moving forward, our next speaker will take us behind the scenes. 1 product, 3 brands, powered by single repository. How we do that? Please make warm welcome for Lilian Galezewska.
Thanks, everyone. What an honor it is to be here to present today and to be the headliner. Thanks to the supporting acts today, Carol, Tomasz, great presentations, and to the quiz people. Today we're going to be talking about how at Real Estate we serve 3 distinct brands from 1 repository, maintaining the unique identities of each market and the sanity of our developers. Moving on to the agenda, first we're going to have a brief introduction. We're going to talk about the IMO virtual migration, and then we're going to talk about how we handle localization from both a design and technical perspective. But first, a bit about me. Hi again. My name's Lillian, and I'm a front-end engineer in real estate at OLX. I've worked here for about 5 years, mostly building tools for our business users. I'm interested in technology, user experience, and solving complex problems in a beautiful way. You're probably going to, this is probably going to be in the next quiz, so I hope everybody's paying attention. I'm Australian, but I live in Poznań with my husband and my 2 kids, and I love travel, food, and cooking. Now, Australians cannot get enough of talking about real estate, so let's get cracking. Real estate at OLX has 3 brands: Autodom in Poland, which I'm sure everybody knows, Storia in Romania, and Immovirtual in Portugal. And right now, we serve all of these brands from one single front-end repository, but it wasn't always this way. Just a few years ago, Autodom was mostly running off our updated front-end platform, with a few functionalities handled by legacy front-end platforms, systems, and back-end systems. Storia was a little bit further behind, and Immovirtual was stuck way back in 2007. We had a lot of instances of if Storia or if Immovirtual statements through our code base, and it was really a nightmare. So how did we get here? Well, unification hadn't previously been a priority. The sites were really divided. We were building and then having to maintain different products related to local market needs, with each new feature moving us further and further away from unification. And finally, payments were being handled differently on each site, which resulted in requiring multiple monetization frameworks. It was a mess. If a new feature was required across all brands, sometimes it would have to be written and tested individually for each site. This was slow, tedious, and created a really complex code base that was really tricky to cover with tests. And as I'm sure you can imagine, this slow trudge to fix issues and deliver new functionality also had serious financial implications. We could have continued on like this, which was hard, or make a big change, which is also hard. Fortunately, management didn't take Homer's advice, and one product was born. One product has become our default approach to development. It's about unification across brands, and importantly for us, developing features once and deploying them everywhere. Using Autodom as the North Star, Storia was quickly unified, but now we still had 2 products. In order to resolve this, Immovirtual needed to be migrated to one product. Even though it looked fairly similar to earlier versions of Storia and Autodom, everything under the hood was different. Immovirtual offered different value-added services, different user types, ad categories, and payment options. The point wasn't to make it look like Autodom, but to make them function in the same way. And for this to become a reality, and for all our sites to be unified, big changes needed to happen to Immovirtual. Most importantly were the value-added services and the payment system. They needed to align. Was it even possible? In 2023, the Immovirtual migration started. It was a bold move to start this migration, basically rebuilding not only the site, but the entire business in Portugal as well. It involved hundreds of charts like this, and pretty much every team in real estate was involved. A highly skilled, dedicated team worked for over a year on this migration. And in May 2024, Immovirtual 2.0 was finally released. So now, we've got 3 international brands running from one front-end repository. How do we do it? First, let's talk about designs. We use a design system that is developed in-house, which provides front-end developers with the rules to easily deliver pixel-perfect-ish solutions. Here's an example of our search component with the extended options available for each of the brands. And you can see they look pretty much identical. This is thanks to our design system, which is created by a dedicated team who not only provide us with predefined styles and components to import, but also it exports them to Figma for our design team to use. It handles all the different brand colors, font styles, spacings, etc., and makes them accessible via tokens. So we write CSS once and we can deploy it everywhere. But it's not just the technical side that needs to adapt to our international presence, but our design team also has a lot to consider when they're preparing the designs. We're an international team and we speak English at work, which is great for me especially. But if our designs are done only considering English, it can cause problems when it comes to development because languages are complex and Polish in particular is really, really long. Here's an example of a badge in the logged in section of our site, which is supposed to draw attention to a new menu item. As you can see here, it looks great in English, but actually there was a slightly different design previously that had to be massaged in order to make it fit for Polish. This was really simple to update, but here's another example. In real estate, we deal mostly with advertisements, which in English we call adverts or ads. And the plural form is really easy. 1 ad, 2 ads, but the Polish version is wild. I'm honestly not even going to try. And as we can see, this is this translation in the design. It looks great in English. There's even enough space that maybe we could squeeze it into 2 rows and save some space, but that would be impossible with the Polish version. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for, it's time to talk about the technical side of how we handle different international markets. The first and most obvious aspect is translations. All our sites are available only in the local language. My cries for an English language option haven't been answered yet. So we need to implement a system which would make these translations work correctly every single time. So this is how we do it. We use an external service to handle our translations. A simplified flow here is that our content development team create translations in all of the required languages: Polish, Portuguese, Romanian, and English. And then they save them to our translation service. Yeah, maybe. Hold on. Hello? Okay. That's much better. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Okay, so the content developers have saved the translations to the translation service. And we have a routine merge request that throughout the day, these new changes are automatically pushed to our repository. We've got separate translation files for each domain, so only the required translations are fetched, which really helps with our page load times. When the merge request has been reviewed, merged and the changes are then available within our code base. The front-end engineers then assign these translations to a translation key, and we use this key to display the correct text on the page. One really cool thing about this system is that all of the translations are saved in our repository. So if we want to find out about exactly what a component name is and how it interacts with the rest of the page, we can just copy the translation and search our code base for it. We find the key, and then we can find it out that way without having to inspect anything, which is really handy, especially, it's really useful, especially when you're trying to find something on production. Okay, and here are some actual examples of the translations. You can see this is a fragment from our ad page, from Autodom and Storia, and then here are the translations. Okay. We can also add variables to our translations. So ad count is updated dynamically. And in situations like this, plural translations are often required. These are pretty tricky to handle, but our content development team has come up with a really neat solution that probably makes a lot more sense to the Polish speakers in the room than it does to me. But as I understand it, for English, one is singular, other is plural, but if few and many options exist, then other is actually a percentage. But we don't actually use this one at the moment because you can't have 2.5 active ads. We can also format our translations. So we can see here that we add different spacing, links, and we can add different styles. So we have each site in the local language, but of course the URLs need to be in the local language as well. Here's the first page of the flow to post an ad. See again, it's the same page with the same design, just with different translations and brand logos. And the URLs are obviously different. We save these URL paths separately by brand. And this means that if, for instance, the direct translation of new ad doesn't make sense from a search engine optimization perspective, it can be changed. And if within our site we want to navigate to this particular page, we can use the English translation like this. Another tool in our arsenal is config files. Configuration files handle the differences in display and functionality per brand, and we use them throughout our application. For example, here's part of the Autodom navigation. Obviously, popular locations are location-specific, so we wouldn't make much sense to display this same list on a different site. Therefore, it's predefined by brand in our config files. And then here we can see on ImmoVirtual. Another example is for our maps. We have map search functionality, but it wouldn't make sense to display the same map for all of Europe, for all of our markets. So to ensure that the map is correctly positioned by brand, we save the latitude and longitude of the bounding box in our configs. These configs are really powerful and useful tools, but any changes that we make need to be deployed by the usual process. Merge request, approval, then merging to staging, and then to production. In most situations, this is totally fine, but it also means that we can't immediately revert a change. So for new or sensitive functionality, we can use another tool that we have available, feature flags. Feature flags basically allow you to enable or disable a feature without source code modification, which means no redeploy. The feature flag service that we use targets either our staging or production environments by brand and only accepts Booleans. We often use them for release purposes, turning the flag on staging, and for testing first before production. We can then monitor metrics and check for errors, and with the idea that we can immediately switch it off if any problems occur. Feature flags, however, are best used sparingly. They increase the complexity of the code base because two scenarios exist, making testing, debugging, and maintenance all the more tricky. If multiple feature flags are present in the same view, it can cause errors and inconsistencies, especially if they interact in some way. So, unless you want your code base to end up like this, be very careful with feature flags. A feature flag cleanup task should be added to the backlog for every feature flag that's created. And then the cleanup task should actually be taken into the sprint and completed. Ask me how I know. Now, we all want to make sure that our changes are useful, accepted, and understandable to our users. And one of the tools that we use to ensure that this happens is A/B testing. Our data team can set up an experiment which is configured really carefully, directing a percentage of users to each variant by brand. I think at this point we all understand how A/B tests work, so I won't go into details. But here's an example of one that was recently run across all of our brands. Here's Autodom. One other interesting way that we can use the experiment infrastructure that we have is for phased release. Say we have an update that's really sensitive or might hit multiple systems. Setting it up as an experiment is an easy way to ease deployment pressure. Variant A would be the original, and B is the sensitive update. The system can serve variant B to say only 5% of users from Autodom, while we monitor to make sure that everything works is working correctly. This percentage can be slowly increased or immediately turned off if any errors are registered. we have one more tool that we can use in order to serve our international presence. These are add-ons, and it's a piece of built-in functionality in our system that allows us to provide specific features for a subset of logged-in users. This is the example agent accounts. An agent account is like a sub-account that's linked to the agency that they work for, and they allow agents to log in, edit ads, and create these kind of profile pages, among other things. So these kinds of accounts are now available on Autodom. But how do we make sure that agency users from other sites don't see this My Agency agent management tab when they log in? Well, on the back end, each agency account that has this feature enabled has a specific add-on value associated with it. On the front end, we fetch this information for each user when they log in, so we know the functionality that's available and what they should be able to see. We have all of these tools that enable us to serve 3 international markets from one repository. But there's a final step that's required to ensure everything works correctly with the least amount of stress for developers, because no one wants to take the site down. These are deployment safeguards. So we have a suite of end-to-end tests for all the important flows, and they're crucial to catch integration issues, especially in the case where one feature is not present in all the markets. We have continuous integration, continuous deployment pipeline that includes some automation tools to verify and confirm that each deployment will actually work. So when we hit merge on that merge request, we can do it with confidence that everything is going to work correctly. And finally, we deploy our international markets in a specific order, from smallest to largest. So if there are any issues, they'll likely be picked up in the smallest market first. So, in conclusion, the introduction of the one product philosophy and a lot of hard work allows us to release new functionality almost immediately to all brands. Very good. But unfortunately, there's no one-size-fits-all simple tool that allows for the development of a range of sites based on one single code base. Instead, all these elements here, configs, translations, add-ons, feature flags, merge to form this wonderful, magical, localized system that powers OLX Real Estate and Autodom, ImmoVirtual, and Storia. And that's all from me. Thanks, everyone. Any questions? Oh.
Yes, we have some questions on our Slido. Thank you, Lilian. Great presentation. First question, what difficulties do you face managing large databases of translations?
Well, previously we used a different service, and all the developers had access to this service, and that caused some problems. Now we have, thanks to our staff engineers and management, we have a dedicated content development team, and they handle all of the translations. And also, we now have the translation files split by domain, so we don't have to load this enormous translation file that covers every single part of the application whenever the page loads.
Okay. Do you have any automation that looks for style translations?
That's a really interesting question. That would be a question for the content development team, not necessarily for me.
But also we have a script in our... yes.
Yeah, that's right. So we do have a script that checks to see if the translation keys that are present within the translation file are actually used within our application. Thanks, Sylvia.
Given there are multiple components using the same text, how do you connect a translation to a specific code line? Usually the process is the other way.
When there are multiple components using the same text, we have a rule with our translation keys that the translation key has to actually direct to that component. So we would duplicate the translation in this instance.
Okay, so maybe we'll take a break from Slido and maybe we have questions from the audience here. Or all questions are on Slido already. Okay. About this one, I am not sure if we can share any brand here, but please approach us during networking time. We can discuss it in details then.
Mhm.
And same for A/B testing. Where do you deploy that second part? Maybe here we can give some explanation.
I think that we can say that we use an OLX developed product for A/B testing, and we have gets a little bit into the actual implementation details to answer this one.
Yes, but in general, I wanted to only add that we have staging environment where we can check everything, and only after that changes are deployed to production. So if there is anything that you would like us to explain in details, just let us know. Give this is a single code base. Do you need to split some features or have variants based on country? If so, how did you approach this to avoid lots of ifs?
Okay, so we do have some features that are available for only one market, and the way that we do it is that we have pretty much ruled out we are not allowed to commit anything that says if Storia or if Immo Virtual, but we can add something into a config file or a feature flag that targets a specific country.
Okay, maybe now we have some questions from audience. Okay. What if you need a feature in only one of the sites, for example, because of laws in the country?
For sure, we just had this instance with KSCF, I think, which obviously is only in Poland. So basically, we just use some of the tools that I described here. We just describe in the config file that this is a feature that would only be available in Poland.
Okay. How do you provide translation keys context to the translation team? Is the translation team involved in the QA process?
To get this is also getting a little bit into details, but the translation team provides us with the keys with some kind of generic key, and then we create a really specific key that is related to the component that translation is used in. So the translation team may be involved in a QA process if we have some questions about a particular component. We might send them a screenshot and say, is this actually what you intended? But normally this doesn't happen.
Okay. What problem did the add-ons solve? Diverse markets needs? Are they different depending on the market?
Yep, for sure. So the example that I gave for add-ons was the agent accounts. And right now, this is like a really big topic, which actually I'm working on. And we've only released it for Poland at the moment. So this is basically the thing that add-ons solve. When an agency owner logs in, we check to see if they have this feature enabled, and if they do, we provide them with the functionality that they need to use it.
Okay. Have there been any market-specific flows for one of presented markets that made it especially tricky to convert to one platform approach?
Well, the entirety of Immo Virtual before we did it.
Yes. Our platform in Immo Virtual, our Immo Virtual platform was completely different than Autodom and Storia. So not specific flow, a lot of specific flows was there.
It was really difficult, and I think everybody in real estate remembers it. Maybe not fondly, but we're happy that Immo Virtual is now part of one product.
What are biggest challenges with such approach? One repo for many apps.
This is probably a question for other people as well, but for me personally, what I feel like is the biggest challenge is that the majority of the functionality that we create needs to be released to all of the brands. If we stop doing that, then we no longer have a one product approach.
How did you end up resolving the different payment services being necessary for different countries? it's good that we have whole monetization core team
Yeah,
here
can
in the
I
audience.
can I
Yes.
hand the mic to somebody else to answer this one?
You can also, can you raise your hand and simply approach those people during networking? Oh, okay.
I'm not from the monetization, but I'm leading the OLX payments team, and we are and we are the kind of the payment gateway for all the services in the OLX. So we have our front end and PCI integration with the all payment providers. So we are supporting 8 countries for OLX for now. We have integration with the 10 payments providers and around 20 types of payment methods. And it depends on the country. We have a config file. We have a config depends on the country, depends on the integrator. So it means that in the Portugal we have OLX, we have IMO virtual, and we have also motors. So we have 3 files for this one country, and depends on the integrator. We have turned on specific payment methods. We have also orchestration, but this is another big topic. So yes, we are the payment gateway in the OLX.
Thank you, Radek. Really good person, good place, good time. Thank you. And last question from Slido. Do you use suffix-based templates for different platforms, such as Autodom, TSX, and so on?
We don't, and the reason for this is just another example of if Storia or if Immo Virtual.
Okay, we don't have any more questions on Slido. Do you have any questions at all? Maybe.
Hi, my name is Alexei. Question is, how do you manage graphic content on the site?
Like the logos, for example?
No, for example, some banners.
So we really only have one main banner on the homepage, and that's saved in a static file accessed via a config.
But what if product manager need to update this banner, for example, for holiday season, Christmas, EU?
Yeah, I'm not sure that we've ever had this situation. Those banners don't get updated very often, but they would create a task, and whichever team is responsible for that would.
So basically, you need to redeploy everything.
Yes. And as you can see, we have this one banner, and it really doesn't change. I think that maybe there could be a workaround that somebody creates a merge request to load a static file that has the same file name, and it would just be overwritten.
Okay, I have different question. How, for example, what if one site has a different routing?
Different routing?
Yes.
Are you talking about different, like the URL is totally different, or just the translations?
No, like a different routing, a different new page for Autodom, for example.
And only for Autodom?
Only for Autodom.
Then in the config, we only have that actual route in the Autodom config, and in the other configs, it would say false or something like that for that value. Yeah, it would redirect to a 404. And because if we have a page that's only available on Autodom, we're not going to create the routing for the other brands, because we have to do that manually by actually creating those segments.
Have you considered monorep approach?
Yes, there is a big discussion right now about how we can update our current repository. I'm not on that team. I think that some other people, maybe if there's anyone here, you can raise your hand and have a chat during the networking about that one.
You can also approach us during networking time, and we will find some people that will be able to answer this. So I guess that's it from Slido, from questions. Please make big noise for Lilian for her presentation. And as we come to an end of OLX Frontend Masterclass, of course there will be last part with food and drinks, so no worries. But before that, I want to say big thank you to you for taking your time to spend it with us today. Big noise for you. After that, of course, after that, I want to say thank you to every person who was involved in this project. So please, maybe we can meet here on the stage. We have our speakers, Lilian Galezewska, Karol Grabowski, Tomasz Komandyr-Jakut. We have our quiz crew, Filip Ławniczak, Oleg Gałgański, Liza Czujko, and Mariusz Krok. And also there is Natalia Bieniecka, who helped Karol with Figma design. So please also, Natalia, join us here. And last but not least, Julia Czyżak, Kasia Strugała, our recruiters, and Aneta Maćkowiak from employer branding team. Without them, nothing here would happen. So big thank you to you. And I want to say 2 last sentences. I want to say thank you to our enablers because those are our managers on different levels who gave us their trust and space for us in order to bring this initiative to life. So I want to say thank you to Barbara Nowak, Norbert Witak, Sergiej Parkomenko, and Maciej Szopiński. Thank you for it. And if you want to be notified about next events like this, please follow us on our social media. And I invite you to the kitchen for food, drinks, and great conversations there. Thank you so much.